Hello everyone, this is Guna Nandini from KPR Institute of Engineering and Technology. So now the session is all about an OSI model and what are the layers involved in that and the special functions in each layer will be seen in this session. The first one will be the International Standard Organization ISO. It is a multinational body dedicated to create some worldwide argument or an agreement based on the international standards. So whereas that standard can cover all aspects of network communication in terms of open system interconnection model, and it was first introduced in the 1970s. So these are all the layers in the OSI model. So physical, data link, network, transport, session, presentation, and the application. We'll see each function in the detail. So the next slide will be all about an application layer. It is responsible for providing the services to the user, and the services may be of mail services, remote login, World Wide Web services, and the file accessing. So this side will represents the sender side, and this will be the receiver side. As the data from the user, it may be a human or a program that can be given to the application layer. So this data along with the scatter file as a message, it will be given to the presentation layer in the sender side. Whereas in this receiver side, from the session layer, it will the presentation layer forward to the application layer along with the header, and finally it will receive the data. We'll see the functions of the application layer. So here the functions will be like based on the user need, the protocol will be used. For example, user may use these kind of applications. So specific application will have the specific protocol. For example, if a user want to transfer a file means they have to use the file transfer protocol, and in case of web surfing, HTTP will be used, and for email, SMTP, and then virtual terminals, a telnet will be used. Okay. So the next layer will be the presentation layer. It is responsible for translation, compression, and the encryption. So from the application layer, it will be given to the presentation layer, and again it will be given to the session layer. This is the sender side, and this one will be the receiver side. Okay, so this this presentation layer have three types of transitions. First one will be the translation. The translation here is very much needed because as we human does not understand the language of the computer, as well as the computer will not understand the language which we use. So the translation is needed here, and after the translation, data compression can happen, and then finally the encryption and the decryption for the secure and the authenticity. So it will be used here. So this can also be called as the SSL, secure socket level. So the need of compression here to increase the speed and reduce the time. So the next layer will be the session layer. So this layer will be responsible for dialogue control and synchronization. For example, it will establish the connection and maintain the connection until that terminates, and terminates the interaction after all the communication system is over. And then the dialogue control, it will define as the off or full duplexer. So the session layer will have the data packet. So the data packet is nothing but the text or image. It will be converted into the packet that will be given to the server. Whereas this session layer will be responsible for all three of this. One is authentication and the authorization and the session management. For example, of the session management, if we use some organization Wi-Fi means, if we idle for some time means, it will show the session out pop-up. So that is the session management where it will be handled in this session layer. The next will be the transport layer, whereas it is responsible for the delivery of the message from one process to the another. So the protocol here used is the TCP and the UDP. So the TCP is nothing but the transfer control protocol or transmission control protocol, and then user datagram protocol. Whereas it is the TCP is the connection oriented, whereas this UDP will be the connection bus oriented. Here the functions of the transport layer were listed. One is the port addressing. It is the main function of this transport layer, and the segmentation, and the finally the connection reassembly connection control. Whereas this connection oriented TCP will have the acknowledgement because it is connection oriented. So this connectionless protocol is UDP. So it has no acknowledgement because it will have no connection between the sender and the receiver. It is connectionless. So the another function, main function of this transport layer is the flow control and the error control. So here the segmentation, flow control, and error control is the main parameter which will be happening inside the. So this is the flow control. For example, a computer have the capacity of the transfer rate of 100 Mbps, so the mobile will have only 10 Mbps. So whereas this computer will send 50 Mbps data, means what will happen? So the compression, so the congestion will be made in this side. So it will reflect or send a message to that to slow down the rate of speed to this computer, and then it will act accordingly. Which means we are controlling the flow of the data which is to be processed based on the capacity of the particular component. So the next one, error control. So it also will control the error by using the checksum or CRC. Whenever the corrupted data is occurred, it will be checked and rectified based on the automatic repeat request. So the next one, it is the reliable process-to-process delivery of a message. Whereas this is the internet, so this one will be the network layer. It is a host-to-host delivery. So the transport layer will be saying as the process-to-process delivery. So in this transport layer, entire process will be covered. So the next layer will be the network layer, whereas this network layer is responsible for the delivery of the individual packets from the source host to the destination host. Whereas this function has a routing, logical addressing, forwarding, and find the best possible routes. So this one will be the sender side image, and this one will be the receiver side. Whereas from the transport layer, the data will be given to the network layer, and from that it will be given to the data link layer. So whereas in this receiver side, from the data link layer, it will be given to the network layer, and again it will be moved to the transport layer. We'll see the functions of the network layer. So it has the major functions like path determination, routing, and the logical addressing. So path determination is the best or the best features of the network layer. We'll see that one. So usually path determination have many types of protocols like so open short path first and then border gateway. So based on the requirement or based on the need, this will be chosen. For example, this is the receiver and this is the sender. So it has around 8 nodes, and the packet length may vary based on the distance, and this is how the route the every transmission has many routes. So it optimistic function is to determine the best route out of the all other routes. So it will choose this one, or it may be this one. It is based on the distance between the two nodes. The smallest distance and the shortest path will be chosen in this particular path determination. So the next one will be the data link layer, whereas it is responsible for moving frames from one hop to the next one. It has the functions like access control, framing, and the physical addressing. So this is how the segment will start. So segment will be along with it. It will be added with the IP address of source and the destination. So it will be along with this. It will be added with the MAC address of source and the MAC address of the destination and the tail. So the entire thing will be called as the frame. Here the data packet is nothing but the IP1, IP2 segment, and it will be given to this. So this is an network interfacing card. It will the media will be connected. The entire network or the different network has a different MAC based on the manufacturer product. And the next one will be the physical layer. The physical layer is responsible for moving of individual bits from one hub to the next. So it defines the type of transmission media, will give the transmission rate and the bits per cent per second. Usually it defines the type of transmission media, and it will give the transmission rate. So transmission rate is nothing but the number of bits per second. So in this physical layer, so the segment usually have the data which is in the transport layer. So in the network layer, the segmentation will be happen. So along with this segmentation, the segment the IP address of the source and the destination is added. So it is nothing but the packet. In the network layer, it will be given to the data link layer, whereas the data link layer will frame the entire thing into single one and packet, and along with the destination MAC address and the source address forms the frame. So finally, it will be converted to the bits. So it will be converted by using some physical media. So the medium may be our signals, wires, anything. So in terms of signals, it will be transmitting, and finally in the receiver side, the application layer, the high will be received. So this is how this high is transferred into entire layers and finally reached the user. So the next one, this is a summary of the layer. So application layer, it allows the access to the network resources, whereas in the presentation, it will translate and encrypt the compressed data. And whereas in this session layer, it will be performing an establishment of the connection and the manage and the terminating of the connections. So the then transport will be the process to process the message delivery, and it is also useful for the error recovery. And the network will able to layer will help to move the packets from the source to the destination in order to provide the internet link. And then data link layer able to organize the bits into frames to provide the object of delivery. And finally, the physical layer where it can able to transmit the bits over some medium. Medium may be a physical medium or a wireless medium. So to provide some mechanical or an electrical specifications. Okay, thank you for watching.